Welcome to Illuminations, a program of study designed to guide you through the basic tools one needs to become a better painter. We intend to shed light on the theories, tools, and techniques that provide this foundation. Many of the subjects we'll explore seem to confuse even experienced painters when they're trying to do everything at once. Every stroke applied to a painting must exhibit the knowledge of composition, color, value, edge, linear and aerial perspective. That's a tall order for a beginner, yet that's exactly what many try to do when they start painting. Actually, all these concepts are simple to understand when they're studied out of the context of trying to execute a painting. Join me for the entire Illuminations series for a good basic introduction to the theory, tools, methods, and techniques every painter can use. Look at this arrangement of fruits on a plain white cloth with a neutral gray background drape. Let's ignore the background for the moment and concentrate on just the tangerines. I've already painted the tangerines on a plain white background and it's completely dry to the touch. I used orange, yellow, and red in my light values and mixtures of orange, alizarin crimson, and ivory black for my darker values. No white was used to lighten any of the colors on the tangerines. Rather than using white, I'm using a color to brighten the orange. I could have used this color mixture when I was painting it for the first time to achieve the brightness that I wanted, but I saved this stroke to make the point for you. I brightened this tangerine by painting the lightest area with cadmium orange plus cadmium yellow, both opaque colors. I'm going to use a different technique on the adjacent fruit to intensify the color and create greater contrast. I'll apply a thin layer of pure Indian yellow over the entire fruit. This will intensify the color overall. You can expand your color wheel to include infinite gradations of the colors chosen for your basic palette. Regardless of how many you make, each color has two analogous colors, the ones on either side of it. Cadmium yellow light has two analogous colors, Indian yellow and yellow green. Cadmium orange has two analogous colors, yellow orange and red orange, and so on. Let's get back to basics by returning to our painted color swatches and observe another group of mixtures, those made with black. Whenever you add black to a color, you do two things. You make it darker and you make it less intense by reducing the brilliance of the color. The more black you add, the duller and darker the color becomes. We observed this effect in only one instance on each color chart, where the pure color is mixed with black in the first square of the upper left-hand corner. After that, everything becomes a tint because it's mixed with white. Because I use a predominance of transparent colors on my palette, a lengthy exercise in mixing black with my palette would be pointless, as every color would quickly be reduced to black. If, on the other hand, you choose mostly opaque colors for your preferred palette, then additional color charts that show the addition of only black to each mixture would be a useful exercise. Returning to our example, when you use transparent colors, you're glazing. When you thin an opaque color and pass it over all the other colors, you're scumbling. Glaze with transparent, scumble with opaque. When you're finished using every color on your palette, your glazing and scumbling panel will look like this. To turn some of these leaves into more fall colors, I can glaze with analogous colors such as Indian yellow and a yellow orange made by adding a touch of alizarin crimson. When you compare these two demonstration paintings, you can see that they're slightly different in color cast. Neither has been glazed as of yet. The reason that they're so different in color is that they were painted under totally different lighting conditions. Remember earlier when we were talking about how the light affects color and the way you see it? Well, this is the difference that can occur when painting an object under incandescent light and when painting in all natural daylight. An inexperienced painter can generally distinguish between 5 and 10 discrete values of any given color. An experienced painter can distinguish roughly twice that many. Even the most perceptive eyes can distinguish no more than 20 individual value changes to represent all the values in our visual world. As a painting tool, we have a shortage of values. What we have a wealth of is color. Comparing a group of trees along a steadily receding plane, the color of the trees in the near foreground is richly saturated with color, as seen in the close foliage on the left. The trees in the middle distance have much less color, although they're still bright. The trees in the far distance, both the orange tree and the evergreen group, are very neutral and grayed compared to the foreground. This effect can be seen in the cast shadows on the ground as well. Look into the cast shadow nearest the picture plane. The greens are greatly saturated with yellow. The shadow on the ground in the middle distance cools immediately when yellow exits the color equation. If we're able to see cast shadows on the ground beyond the house, we would observe that those shadows would take on a purplish characteristic, and the shadow itself would be slightly lighter in value. Thank you for joining me in this second video in the Illuminations series. We've explored a lot of solutions to problems you encounter with color, and we've only begun to scratch the surface. As I said earlier in the program, it's almost impossible to separate the explanation of painting techniques and processes into divisible parts. I inevitably end up talking about more than one thing. In future programs in this series, particularly the one devoted to brush techniques, you may see other solutions to color problems that we haven't yet explored. Join me for the entire series to give you a greater understanding of this wonderful gift of painting. Experiment, explore, and above all, till next time, enjoy painting.